The Pajaro River levee has been known to turn from a nearly invisible neighbor, a dry river bottom for many months of the year, into a threatening monster. Several times, and most notably in 1955 and again in 1995, when the antiquated river levee system failed to contain a Pajaro River swollen with rain runoff.
Floodwaters washed out bridges, flushed sewage into homes, left thousands of people homeless, many jobs.
This man was one of 2 persons to die as a result of the flooding.
Those in low-lying areas say it's time the county maps out a detailed flood plan or a levee plan to make sure this kind of disaster doesn't happen again.
It was $100 million in damages, $60 million in the urban community and about $30 million in the agricultural community. It's still fresh in everybody's minds, that damage.
When heavy rains come to Santa Clara, Santa Cruz, and San Benito counties, the water flows and grows for up to 13 hours before reaching Watsonville and the river mouth.
We're the bottom 11 miles linear on a watershed that is over 1,500 square miles.
That force of nature is crucial to the survival of rich adjacent ag lands. But flooding the banks destroys production here, and the growing next-door neighborhoods, and those along the main local tributary, the Salsapuedes Creek.
It's not just Pajaro Valley and our food, it's the world. Food goes everywhere, and so if you flood that prime land, what happens to the production? It has a devastating effect worldwide.
The 95 flood shut down these fields for multiple seasons, causing layoffs and lost crop profits. And Monterey and Santa Cruz counties shared in paying a $50 million lawsuit settlement due to the levee's failure.
Every time it starts raining hard for multiple days, I'm basically waiting for a catastrophic failure of the levee that could, in one fell swoop, wipe me off this landscape.
Eugene is a flower grower. His greenhouses are located literally on the levee bank. He survived the 1995 flood, but has spent the last 18 years fearing another.
Basically everything that got wet died or became so weak and disease-ridden it had to be replaced. The secondary damage to that is the business we're in is where we provide a steady source of product to a consumer base. Obviously we couldn't produce that steady stream, so we lost a lot of customers during that time, and it almost took us out.
That's why the Pajaro River Bench Project is so important and so welcome. The $7.6 million in grant money to pay for the project is allowing for thousands of truckloads of earth to be moved. Dirt that has long stayed in place, while a huge $200+ million Army Corps of Engineers project has stalled at the federal level.
We took it back from the Corps. We got it back, I think, in August or October 2010. And within a year, we had our permits. And within 2 years, we were under construction.
This map gives an overview of the areas along the Pajaro River being widened and graded to create a bench or extra level along the bank. Key points along the river to distribute heavy flows and relief from pressure during any rainy season or event. The smaller levee system along the Salsapuedes Creek that feeds into the Pajaro River is also being shored up and strengthened as part of the project.
The county and the city, and Monterey County too, work together to make something happen on the Pajaro River. And it's just refreshing to see local people take over and do something and make it happen.
The state money paying for the bench project is not just relief to the stressed levee, but to the local communities that would be hard-pressed to pay for it, despite the extreme need. In 2012 and 2013, all summer long, trucks moved an average of 4,800 cubic yards, for a total of 245,000 cubic yards, creating a natural bench of the bank to give high waters elbow room, reducing stress on the banks and the natural ecosystem here, including steelhead. Root balls are being shown here being placed in stream to serve as fish resting areas.
By excavating down to the 2-year flood surface, we are allowing the low flow channel to get out of its banks and operate on a floodplain within the existing levee system. So that when we're talking anadromous fisheries, if we have steelhead coming upstream or going downstream and they're met with difficult stream velocities, Then they get up in the out-of-bank areas where the benches are carved and the velocities are slower, and they find resting areas there when it's really ripping down through the channel.
In something of a win-win-win, Santa Cruz Public Works and the Pajaro Valley community have been able to find a benefactor. About a third of this earth hauled out of the riverbed, 75,000 cubic yards worth, has been placed at the neighboring Elkhorn Slough National Marine Estuary. Dirt is being used to raise the elevation of the marshes in order to restore them to their original, properly functioning, more shallow depth.
The thing about the marshes here, and really these coastal marshes up and down California, they're incredibly productive and rich. So a lot of the migratory birds that are moving through will benefit from the production that these marshes produce. One of the interesting spins here in Elkhorn Slough is that the area that we're looking at repairing is adjoining a section of healthy marsh that has been colonized by sea otters. And so these animals, the otters, are now using this healthy marsh as a pupping ground and a feeding ground. So we anticipate that as we bring back 100 acres more marsh, that it will be beneficial to animals like the sea otters. So when we found out that it was going to work, that all the forces lined up and the permits lined up, it was a great day. And we're real pleased to see this moving forward.
Watching these trucks by the dozens and loads by the thousands underway may not appear very environmentally sensitive, but in fact, the Regional Air Quality Control Board modified the hauling schedule to limit dust pollution. The project waited for nesting hawks to fledge before embarking. And even the native western pond turtles were tracked using radio equipment in order to protect them from truck traffic. Watsonville area residents and those on the Monterey County side of the river share in the satisfaction of finally getting a new lease on life for the levee that's too often gotten attention in the most destructive way.
Like all water projects in California, there are kind of three communities of interest. There's agriculture, there's environmental, there's residential. This is one of those feel-good projects where all three communities come together to support it. The ag people like this project because it's additional flood conveyance and less risk on their fields of overtopping and inundation in that area with all the food safety concerns. The environmental people, they like it because of all the improvements to the natural river system that are going to take place here with vegetation and wildlife and floodplain functions inside an existing levee system. And the residential people like it because it gets them protection. They sleep better at night knowing that there is a greater conveyance ability for the river to move the water through this system without the same risk we had before this project.
For me, this is starting my 16th year as a supervisor representing North Monterey County, and this project has been a major project on my agenda for the last 16 years. And for having it finally come to an end and finally having it completed is one of the major cornerstones of my 16 years as being supervisor for Monterey County. The people that don't get flooded will never realize that they're not getting flooded because this project was done. It's a great success, and I'm very proud to be a part of it.
It's not the end all, but it is a start, and I really commend the county and the city working together, but particularly the county working on this project, making it happen.